folks, you ruin. So my policy is don't fiddle. And just in indicating, see, so very small detail in there. Now just here I've got the little collar, and I want to put a separation line between hand and collar. It's not easy to do, so I'm hoping that I can do it with this one. It really is just a merest hint. There you go. Great. And just make a little more shape to the hand if I can. Just really touching the point of the pencil just to create that illusionary effect. Now, she wouldn't be very happy with me because I've made her arms a little too wide there. So all we do now is just trim that back just slightly, the dress slightly, like that. And I think that's a little better. And just a touch of white on there. And I'm breaking my rules here, I'm fiddling, folks. And, but there you go. Yes, I think she'll be happy that she's a little slimmer now. Just light hitting her top of her arm there, a little bit there on the back, and I think call that a day. I'll show you what that looks like a bit further away. Now we need some reflective light in it, so I'm bringing down some light white from the cliffs and some grey contrast. Now for the water I'm going to start with grey. I'm not going to worry about the reflection is going to be put on top of the colour. Grey. And over here, I'll add more to that in a minute, but over here we want to build in some of the rocks and the green areas. And I'm not going to make it as severe as the photograph, make it a little lighter, and I will continue, not very far, just a little bit further down there. And then we'll come from there. It's very much a matter of seeing how it looks as we go along, really. And once again, the pastel paper is playing an important part here because it just gives me an opportunity to catch some of the tooth. Might have to go over the characters again in a little while. You see how they start to form nicely, and a little bit of darker burnt sienna on that is, that colour, quite attractive. And then put some white, quite strong white. There's a lot of chalk, as you can see, in here, so we want to put some of that in, so I'm making sure that that goes in nice and strong. And then we can cut round that to make it with maybe the darker colour, yeah, to make it stand out a little more. That's it. Okay, well I think that just maybe make it just a touch darker now. Just put a little bit of black in. I'm always a bit wary with black. You can't see it very much contrast on the picture, but I'm always a little bit wary, but it does give us that punch that is quite important. And there's a lot of shadow here, so we put some shadow in here. Right, I've put the base colour in the sand and water area. Now what I'm going to do now is just bring in some of these, that one there, and there, and there, and the white, and establish it as much as we can there. That's it. Let me turn around the other way and see. You get to see you almost already got that reflection. I want some grey in here as well. This base colour is really important, because everything that you put on top of that, all the stronger colours, will go into that. And the other thing I like to do is on the corners, a bit like a jigsaw. I used to love jigsaws as a kid. You want to make sure you've got a nice corner like that, and then just a little bit of a rub with the finger. You see how that starts to rub together. Now I'll just continue with that until I get to the next stage that I can show you. Now this is the next stage where we bring down the colour shaper, dragging it all down into the base colours below. And when we've done that, we can then bring in a little bit of blue. This is a complicated way. I'm not worrying about, at the moment, I'm not worrying about little characters. They can all be put in later on. A little bit of blue reflecting through there. Now the blue and the sandy colour will be linking together. So what we'll do is a little bit of white going in. And down the bottom here, this sandy colour on top of the grey. So we kind of have a combination of the two, really. The wet sand. And here, this sand continues, so a little bit of sand that she's now standing on. And bring that in. These all got to be put together more or less at the same time. All the details can be put in afterwards. And then we need to start building it up. Now I'll continue with that. Now we're nearly there now. Just got to bring down these very strong whites in. No, I'm going to worry about that. I think we can let that one go. And then what we do then is go across like that. See that effect? Now I've put the stronger colours on of the. And now I'm going to, over the top of that, I'm going to use the grey again. This is the grey I first started out with, just to smooth it in. It's almost like using your blender, you know, your paper blender, your colour shaper, and you get that wonderful, just see that sheen coming on it now. And we can afford to be a little bit generous with that. And you bring it down the other way, see what a lovely effect we get. And that's probably going to leave it at that for the time being. Just touch it with my finger. Good. Now let's go for the characters now. Now the obvious colour is the red. We'll bring the red in. And you don't have to be absolutely spot on here, as long as you're creating the effect. Now the character, I'm going to start with a grey there. The male character, and then we'll go on top of that with Payne's grey. Now a dark Indian red. Give ourselves a bit of contrast. Now I'm going to use a white here as well. I'll work on that a little bit. Now put some little white brick stones in there and bits of chalk. I'm just putting just a little touch of dark in there as well. Just put a bit of shadow behind them. Make them stand out. There we are. Now, one thing I want to do now is I just want to run a few streaks of light across it. That'll be okay. Now, we'll blend those in a little bit. They're a little bit too fierce, so we can bring them back. But then you just add to the illusion of reflection. That's looking good now. Okay, let's do a little bit more titivation and I'll show you the end product. Right, well that's the finishing touches on, so it's a question now of removing the tape and there we are, another pretty little picture ready to go.